Welcome to Rise Up, biblical teaching to strengthen your heart and deepen your faith. As we enter a new year, we reflect on the past and envision the days ahead. In the ancient world, people commemorated events by putting up pillars of stone. Today, Pastor John Risner shares about the importance of remembering what the Lord has done.
We all have a tendency to forget things, don't we? Some of us might be more forgetful than others, but most of us forget things every single day. We forget our passwords. I can never seem to remember mine. In fact, I'm thinking about changing all of my passwords to incorrect. That way, when I put in the wrong one, the computer will tell me, your password is incorrect. We forget where we put our keys or phone. Things that don't mean very much. But we also forget things that have more significance. You know, it's one thing to forget where I put my keys, but it's a totally different thing to forget to pay a bill, or to turn in that assignment, or to feed your pets, or your kids. You know, with 7 children, people often ask us if we've ever forgotten a child, and I always say the same thing in response. I say, we've not left a child behind yet. That feeling you get when you've forgotten something is terrible. Have you ever gotten a text that says, are you coming? Or, where are you? I mean, you begin to panic. You're like, where was I supposed to be? You feel awful when you forget things like a friend's birthday, an important meeting, your spouse's name. Like the husband, he couldn't figure out why his wife was so upset. I remembered the car seat, the stroller, and the diaper bag, yet all you can talk about is how I forgot the baby. We're also prone to forget what God has done. We forget who He is and who He tells us we are. But the Scriptures call us to remember, and that's just what we're going to talk about today. Well, my name is John, and I pray that through our time together, your heart grows stronger and your faith grows deeper. This morning, we're continuing a series we began last week. It's called Recalibrate. You know, as we go through the crazy twists and turns of life, it's easy to drift off course spiritually. We can lose perspective. We can wander from God. And as I said last week, we end up in places we never intended to be. And we can easily forget the truths that we know. Last week, we talked about a compass and how it always points true north. And spiritually speaking, we need to be recalibrated so that we can be pointed in the right direction toward God. Worship points us back to Jesus. It realigns our hearts and our lives to God. And today we're talking about the importance of remembering. Any of you ever have the experience of parents calling you by the wrong name? Anyone over here? You're like, how hard is it to remember the name of your child that you named? Well, worshiping helps us to remember who God is and who we are. You know, in the Bible, people set up memorial stones as a way to remember the good things the Lord has done. What I'd like to do with the rest of our time together is look at a few passages in the Bible where people set up memorial stones and consider why remembering is important for us as well. The first is in Genesis chapter 28, where Jacob sets up a pillar in Bethel to commemorate a powerful vision of God that he experienced while sleeping there. You see, remembering helps us to worship God for what He's done. This is the text where Jacob sees a ladder to heaven with angels ascending and descending, and the Lord tells him that He's going to give him the land for he and his offspring. This experience was so striking, Jacob wanted to commemorate it. He didn't want to forget it, so he put up a memorial stone. Let's look at that passage together from Genesis chapter 28, starting in verse 18. So early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was Luz at the first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you. You hear the worship in this passage. Jacob renamed the place Bethel, which means house of God. Actually, this becomes an important center for worship. And did you know the very first sermon I preached here at MCA was on Genesis 28 and how God has a plan for Jacob and God has a plan for us? Oh, you don't remember that? You mean you forgot? It's like the guy who asks his wife for the password when on his laptop when he forgets. She calls back to him, "Oh, it's our anniversary date." Oh, he's in a predicament now, isn't he? It's like when the pastor says, "Do you remember when I preached on that topic? Do you remember when I said that?" You go, sure. Well, remembering helps us to worship God for what He has done.
You have been listening to Rise Up, biblical teaching to strengthen your heart and deepen your faith. To find more resources, go to johnrisner.net.